Well, we were fed a mouthful of lies about January 6th. Now we've got the tapes and we can prove it. We're going to cover that today. We're going to talk about Adam Schiff and the Democrats, how they're going after Elon Musk hard, especially since he has filed a lawsuit against Media Matters. And then Chris Cuomo, who I don't think can talk about anything except gun control and more government regulation, talked to Vivek Ramaswamy. This was a few months ago, but I'm bringing it up now because I want to show why it is so easy for Vivek Ramaswamy and people like him to be consistent, people like myself to be consistent. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's go for it. Welcome back to Continue Freedom. If this is your first time here, welcome. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. We are on X, Rumble, Locals, and YouTube. Sign up for all of them. I mean, go over to Locals because I'm going to do some Locals-only content, and you're not going to want to miss that. It's a cool platform. Go ahead and sign up for it. So let's talk today first about let's have a moment of levity. How about that? We'll have a moment of levity where we say, man erases entire year's worth of exercise in one meal, which I can definitely sympathize with. I'm swelled up like a tick ever since Thanksgiving. Our family doesn't even have a weird uncle, thinks man moments before realizing he's the weird uncle. I could sympathize with this one too, because there's a bunch of uncles, for my nieces and nephews, and they all seem pretty normal. So maybe I'm the weirdo in our family. And then finally, President Trump that just gave Hamas $100 million, denounces Elon Musk as anti-Semite. Oh yeah, the irony behind that one is rich. It's very rich. And in fact, that's going to be the first thing that we talk about today. Adam Schiff, everybody's favorite Twitter commentator, he says, Elon Musk has been amplifying anti-Semitic content, profiting from misinformation, and allowing pro-Hamas propaganda to spread on X. This needs to stop. I've joined Representative Dan Goldman and Representative Raskin in demanding accountability from X. You mean like the anti-Semitism that we hear in Congress? Huh? I mean, and if you don't know what happened here, I mentioned it in my last video, but I'll go ahead and glaze over it again, is that Media Matters orchestrated this whole thing where they signed up for a fake account and they went on and started following anti-Semites and racists and all these people. And then they just kept, basically, the way I understand it is it's like refreshing the page over and over and over again. And they found the anomaly where one of the major advertisers showed up next to the to some of this anti-Semitic content. And when that happens, they took a screenshot of it and then tried to pitch this as if that were the trend and how it would normally happen, that, oh, this happens all the time, when in fact it happens less than 1% of the time because the algorithm picks up everything. I mean, Twitter's an imperfect system, and they took advantage of the imperfection but tried to show it as a trend, so it's horribly dishonest. And as a result, Elon Musk lost millions in ad revenue, and yeah, they're trying to screw him over because he's a free speech platform. Why? Why would they go after a free speech platform, one that says, no, we want everybody to have a voice? Because they don't want everybody to have a voice. If you give everybody a voice, then their power and authority and their monopoly over public discourse is shifted, and they don't like that because that doesn't help them with power. It doesn't help them with money. It doesn't help them in any way because that leads to too free of a society. If that didn't speak volumes, I don't know what does. But I want to point out the positive behind this. If you look at Adam Schiff, he had 8.7 million views of that post. Now, that's just general views like impressions and things like that, I think. But he got 24,000 likes. They don't show dislikes. But if you read through the feed, it is, just everything. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. Like, people were nailing him on it. But they, someone could take a screenshot of just the top part of this and say that 8.7 million people looked at this and, this is somehow speaks to the broader public discourse. Well, it doesn't. But they're trying to inject these things. They'll constantly try to inject these things into our way of thinking, into our social media feed. Just like I said last week, or in my last video, they're going to fill your feeds with this garbage, with this toxic, nasty messaging that's wrong, based on false premises, and try to pitch it as if it's reality. So, good. They're fighting back. Elon Musk is fighting back against this, and so are the other influencers. Many other people with millions and millions of followers have jumped on board, and this is a crowdfunding with large media presence, with large voices and large pocketbooks and large wallets. And that's good because, I'm sorry, Media Matters doesn't have the money to fight back against the richest man in the world. They just don't. And, the companies, after we've seen what happened with Bud Light and people knowing that they could stand to lose tens of millions of dollars, this is going to go our way, I think. At least I choose to remain hopeful. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is Vivek Ramaswamy. And I'm very pro Vivek these days, and I really like Vivek. Again, I'm still Trump 2024, but I would have zero problem voting for a Trump Vivek ticket or just a Vivek ticket if that's how it turns out. And I said in my last video that if our system completely fails us, because if Donald Trump is not allowed to run for office, our system has failed us. Our constitutional republic is forever damaged. And no, I won't say it's irreparable, but for the cases that they are trying to bring against Trump, it is horrific. Absolutely horrific. And I can give you one example. I wasn't intending on showing this, but because this was going to be for a separate video. But these people brought up, let me pull this up here. This is straight out of the judges. Basically, the judge ruled before. Let's see here. There we go. The judge ruled before the case even took place that from 2011 to this is in the summary judgment that happened before he ever saw a day in court. But from 2011 to 2021, the Palm Beach County assessor appraised the market value of Mar-a-Lago at between $18 million and $27.6 million, notwithstanding the SFCs, which is the statement of financial. What is it? Statement of financial. I forget what it's called. Dadgummit. Oh well. Values do not reflect these land use restrictions. Donald Trump's SFCs for 2011 to 2021 value Mar-a-Lago at between $426 million and $612 million. Well, here's the reason. City assessors, and I'll give you a perfect example, is that when cities come in, they want to know how much tax revenue they should be getting off of properties, off of property tax. They have assessors that come in and value the property. And we live in a small town. My wife and I do. We owned a small commercial property, and it was valued at a certain amount of dollars. It was, it was something low, very, very low. It's like $200,000. Well, we had this huge 2,500 square foot loft in it. We had a retail space that was rented out and would stay rented out for a long period of time. We had a second floor, which was unfinished, but had revenue generating capabilities. We just didn't have the money to, put into it. We wound up selling the building. We sold it for a huge profit, which was great. But when they came in during the time of our ownership, came in and reassessed the value. Well, they upped our taxes by like 25%. We were like, whoa, this is crazy. Our tax assessed value went through the roof. But at the same time, we talked with the other businesses downtown, and we had people that had put hundreds of thousands of dollars into their property, renovated it completely, beautiful, gorgeous properties on the inside that at the time of last tax assessment were vacant and not renovated, and they dropped the value of their buildings. So they paid less in taxes. We paid more. We hadn't put as much money as they had into their buildings, and their buildings had more usable space. So it made absolutely no sense. But what you argue for is the lowest possible tax assessed value because you don't want to pay the taxes on it. You want to have a building that, according to the city, is worth $200,000 when you can actually sell it for $600,000, right? That's just the way that you want it to, because banks do not look at the tax assessed value. Why? Because you can have a building that will go up by 20% and another building that will go down by 20% when it should have been the exact opposite of that, right? Theirs should have gone up 40% and ours should have gone up 20%. Well, because they make no sense. They bring in organizations that don't know what they're doing, and they didn't even come in our building. They didn't even know what was inside of our building. They looked at the outside and made a valuation of it. Well, a bank who's loaning money is going to look at it. They're going to look at how much income it generates. They're going to look at how many acres the land is, which in this case of Mar-a-Lago, it's 26 acres. 26 acres in Palm Beach. I mean, you're talking about selling for millions of dollars per acre, millions upon millions per acre. Plus, you've got this, it's like a 40-bedroom or 50-bedroom villa or house with all these bathrooms, and it's a social club. It's generating tens of millions of dollars a year. And so, a bank is going to do their due diligence. They owe it to their own company, to their own bank, to do their due diligence and understand what that property is worth. Well, the judge is saying, oh no, it's only supposed to, the tax assessor says that it's worth 18 million or maybe as high as 27 million, but he was saying it's worth 426 million. And it's worth every bit of 426 million, because if I could get that property for $18 million, I would buy it today and I would flip it tomorrow. And I would flip it tomorrow and make hundreds of millions. I would retire. I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere. Actually, that's not true. I couldn't sit on a beach for that long. I'd be doing this because this is what I actually enjoy doing. So anyway, I went off on a tangent on that one, but nonetheless, Donald Trump has been screwed on this, and if he's not allowed to run for president because of that, then our system has absolutely failed us. Let's get back to Vivek. I'm sorry about that. That was a departure I didn't intend on taking. So Vivek is on with Cuomo, and I did not know that Chris Cuomo was creating content, and I don't think a lot of other people do either. His YouTube channel has 2,500 followers, and he's a big name person. I mean, he was the governor of New York. But I wanted to see how consistent Vivek Ramaswamy is, and let's talk about that real quick.
Vivek, on guns, your position is absolute Second Amendment. People could carry concealed weapons.
Yes.
You were in New York for a period of time. We had 481 mass shootings. Your
false number, by the way, 481 mass shooting. FBI defines it by any shooting where 3 or more people are killed. So we're talking about a massive number of gang violence. They just use it to juice the numbers because people think that there's 481 school shootings. You know, that's how people equate a mass shooting now. That's not the case. Mass violence in New York, 481, despite having the strictest gun laws in the country, which thankfully are finally being rolled back a bit, thanks to our Supreme Court. But let's keep going and listen.
would allow assault weapons, unlimited magazines, 20 bullets, 50 bullets, 70 bullets, no background checks, concealed carry in New York cities. It would be the Wild West. I mean, just think about it. Everyone has a gun is the answer.
The reality is there are states where that is the case today, where gun violence is far lower than it is in New York City.
Bingo.
I'm not blaming anybody for this or any particular politician or policymaker, but that's a hard fact. And the vision of the founding vision of this country is that this is how you keep tyranny and overreaching foreign monarchy
You stop
at bay.
the government. I get that.
And so my
Former
view
felons?
is this. Listen, I think that the real problem in this country when it comes to violent crime, because you and I share, I think, a genuine concern about the violent crime spike in this country. I think if we're serious about how to address that, there's two things we need to do. I understand they're controversial, and I think we should have an open and honest discussion about it. One is more cops on the streets who are actually allowed to do their job without fear of being sued or looking over their shoulder. And number two, bring back mental health institutions in this country, because we have a mental health crisis.
Okay, so those are the main points. And yes, he has been remarkably consistent on this. And that's not an easy line to toe by saying that we need to bring back mental health institutions. They were taken out, I believe, it would have been in the 60s, 70s. I think that it might have actually been under JFK, because he had a sister who had been through one and was mistreated. So, yeah, there were some nefarious things going on in mental health institutions. But if we brought them back today and, yes, would have, pretty strict regulations on them, then, we're not talking about lobotomizing people or doing electroshock. What we're talking about is giving a place for rehabilitation for individuals with mental health issues. And we don't have a place like that now. Those people have been dumped that would have normally been in a mental health institution, have been dumped onto the streets. They are the crazy people shouting at street signs. And in some cases, they're the crazy people who are walking up behind random people and shoving them in front of trains or stabbing them or, beating them mercilessly or, any other nefarious activity that you could think of. Those are the people that should be in mental health institutions. And we don't have any place to put them now other than prisons, and prisons are overfilling as a result. It's been a snowball effect when it comes to the mental health crisis, and we are paying the price for it. So he has been consistent in this. Well, let me tell you why it's easy to be consistent and talk about these things. When you talk about the Second Amendment, when you talk about the First Amendment, when you talk about our right to to a fair trial or to a speedy trial, unlawful search and seizure, privacy, All of these things are very easy arguments to make. We have the absolute easiest argument to make, and it bodes well for those of us who want to try and stay consistent. That the Democrats should have the long road to hoe, and that's why they use emotion rather than the Constitution. They hate for someone to bring up the Constitution. They hate for somebody to bring up individual rights and liberties because they are on emotion and the group collective. And when they talk about, you think they're the lovey-dovey kind of people, but they're the ones that would spit in your face if you said that you supported the Second Amendment, or they're the ones that would be the first to attack you if you said that no, there shouldn't be red flag laws, because red flag laws lend themselves to abuse. It could be an angry girlfriend. It could be a neighbor who you played your music too loud one night and they call and say you were threatening somebody. Next thing you know, you've lost your Second Amendment. This is why I don't support red flag laws. There has to be a system, but red flag laws are not that system. And people that believe that level of authority should be granted to the average citizen is off. Like, that's my Second Amendment rights. That I can't, if an angry girlfriend can say he threatened to kill me and completely lie about it, and next thing you know, you lose your right to self-preservation and you become just another vulnerable person. I don't believe in that. The conservative argument is the easy argument. But in this day and time where people are more emotionally driven and less focused on, reality, it becomes much harder for us to make the case. It's very hard to do it in this type of system. But if we were all just, regular Americans living our lives, then yes, the conservative way is the only way, and most people would agree. So Vivek has done a great job of that. He's tapped into it, but he's not apologetic. He's like, no, this is what I believe, and I'm sticking with it. And he has been sticking with it for months. So praise the Lord, hallelujah. Nice job. That's why I'm become much more of a Vivek fan. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is, January 6th. All right, we know now with 200% certainty that there was no insurrection. And the more beautiful part of this is that we can see that there was no insurrection with our own two eyes. And no matter how much the Democrats tell you, no matter how much your friends tell you, oh, don't believe your lying eyes, these people wanted to overturn the election. These people were violent. They were this horrific mob of violent people. We can now look at the video and say, no, you are wrong. You're wrong, my friend. These people, there were some people who, broke windows. I'll show you here. I'm going to scroll through this fairly quickly and hopefully hit all the major points. But you can see down here at the bottom right, places you want to look. There's 3 entries here where people are going to be coming in. One is over here on the right where you can see this window. There's the door in the middle with the exit sign above it. And then there's a little gap up here where there is also, I don't know if you can see my mouse well enough, but there's also a window over here. So these are the 3 areas where things are going to happen. And I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And you can see down here, some kid walked up to it and hit the window and smashed it. All right. And then as we fast forward, another window gets smashed. Well, they get in through this top window because this middle door was locked. It had a magnetic lock on it. They smashed out the windows, and then these guys go and try to, and there was one Capitol Police officer who encountered some people. You can see him at the top left here, brought out his pepper spray. This guy throws a water bottle in, and this guy comes in with his hands up, and he's yelling, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Or what are you trying to do?" down here at the bottom of the screen. Then everybody starts flowing in. The Capitol Police run off. Well, the Capitol Police run off. They start coming through the windows, and then they get the door open. And then, of course, here's everybody's, you can see the guy in the middle. You probably recognize him. As they called him, the QAnon shaman, the guy carrying the flag right here in the middle. And what happens? Well, this goes on for a very long time. People just flowing through the doors. Some people going back out. They're like, okay, I came here to do what I came here to do. I got in. Now I'm leaving. And there's one guy standing here texting. He never moves. Who is he texting? I don't know, with all this stuff going on. And then eventually the police show up. And you can watch them down at the bottom right. You will see Capitol Police come into view momentarily. I think it's in this next video. Yeah, here they are. So Capitol Police show up. And people keep rolling in. Capitol Police isn't stopping them. Capitol Police isn't getting violent. La-di-da-di, everybody. these people. Oh, and then the Capitol Police end up leaving. There's a spot in here that I was going to show you that I can't. Oh, here it is. You can watch this guy in the blue down here at the bottom right. This lady is hollering at him, and he's pointing. He's saying, just go in through the door. Just go to the door. That's all you have to do. Go to the door. So she does. This little old lady, she's probably in her 70s. They're waving her in. All right, so this keeps going and going and going. People are having conversations. Capitol Police is not being attacked. In fact, there's a whole line of people up here that have been leaving nonstop. Well, they get this middle door shut. People are still trying to get in, so they barricade the door. And then this guy in the middle is just sitting here with his baton hitting people. So as anybody reaches for the door, he just bashes their hands. Well, look at how, look down here. These people, there's just 2 cops down here, and all these people standing outside. Nobody's trying to do anything. These people up top here, they're all trying to leave. They're going out. Well, here eventually, the crowd gets tear gassed. So you can watch it. Where does it happen? Nope, that wasn't it. Well, the people outside start getting antsy. You can see here. Oh, there it is. So you can see that people start getting antsy, and then somebody throws tear gas into the crowd, and they're getting all getting gassed. They start covering their faces. People are still trying to leave. They're going into the tear gas. Well, eventually, there is a crowd. They get the door open. You can see here in the middle. And this was me going through the footage. Well, they get pushed in. And so the crowd behind them is pushing them. Well, you can see this guy. He's beating him with a baton. He's just sitting here hitting them, saying, get back, get back. Well, they can't. You can watch this guy in the middle. He's getting crushed. And this guy with the flag back here in the back is trying to swing it at him. Well, this dude takes the flag away from him. And so they got their Trump flag. And tempers are high. You have to understand, tempers were high here. But this guy is getting crushed. Like, you can see the grimace on his face, and he's like, stop hitting me. I can't go anywhere. My hands are up. They're just covering his face, and this guy's whacking him in the face with a shield, with that plastic riot shield. And then eventually they get pushed through. Well, what happens? Are they brawling with the police? Are they trying to beat up the police? No. In fact, the police just stand there. And then you can watch interactions like this down here at the bottom. Look at this. Guy's fist bumping him. He's like, no. Everybody settle down. Just you all go that way. We'll go this way. Like, this is not an insurrection. This is what they told us was an insurrection. Like, these people are trying to overthrow the Capitol. And you'll see some people yelling at them, but you'll see other people saying, no, don't break anything. Don't do this. They're trying to, they're quelling the crowd. And these people just continue to roll in. Capitol Police at no time was in any danger here, by the way. So they're talking. This guy, he's got his hand on his shoulder. He's talking to him. There's people, you see these micro interactions throughout the whole thing. They are shaking hands. They're patting each other on the back. Like, and this is non-stop through this footage. Like, this is, and to tell us that, the dishonesty to tell us that this was some violent mob of people, and to say that it was a deadly insurrection. There was one person killed at January 6th. One. And it was an unarmed Air Force veteran named Ashley Babbitt. She was the only person. She was shot and killed as an unarmed civilian. Look at this interaction. Like, this just goes on. There's people taking photos, people getting selfies, and we were fed these lies, and people still believe it. They still believe this stuff. They still believe that this was some violent, attempted overthrow of the federal government. And who are the types of people that we see? We see people like this old couple, these 70s lady with a little shawl around her head and her cell phone texting somebody. And we see that guy like this. This guy got arrested and then released because he was getting some Capitol Police guy took a swipe at him, it looked like. He gets bound up, tied up, and next thing you know, he's out and he's tapping shoulders with these guys. And the interaction with these 2 guys and the Capitol Police went on for like 45 minutes. There's like 45 minutes of them just sitting there talking. Well, not this guy as much. This guy, once he got arrested, he was just let out, and he was just hunky-dory with the Capitol Police. This guy sat and had a conversation with them at the door for like 45 minutes. That we have been lied to. And this is, so the point I want to make, here's the point, because I've let this go on too long. The point I want to make is that we have to question, it is incumbent upon us to question everything that we are told. The mainstream media is going to run with this as an insurrection all the way through the next election. This is going to be part of our history, the division. Like, the accuracy of the reporting on this is going to determine whether your kids think that there was an insurrection on January 6th, or they think that there was a mob of people who went into the Capitol on January 6th. They're going to think that people actually died at the hands of these people, or they're going to realize that one person was killed, and killed unjustly because they were an unarmed civilian in the Capitol. There are people that are going to believe that the Capitol Police, that all the heroes that they touted as, and I can't remember their names, but these people that, the guy that shot Ashley Babbitt, that killed an unarmed, innocent person. Now, if it had been a Republican or a white person that had shot a black person, an unarmed black person at a BLM riot, where the town is burning down, then that would have been racist. That would have been touted as just the norm for Republicans and the norm for conservatism. But no, this was a white woman who was killed by another officer, and whoop-de-doo, she deserved it, is the way they look at it. But our kids, your kids are going to have a false understanding of our very history if they aren't told by us what actually happened on that day. And they need to know that there was an attempt to burn down the White House by BLM, that a whole church burned down, that they firebombed the White House, firebombed a guard post at the White House, that Palestinian protesters actually took over the Capitol Rotunda. That's okay. They need to understand the double standard. Our friends need to understand this. Our family need to understand this. There's an absolute double standard of political enforcement of the law. And that is not supposed to happen in a just society, in a free society, and definitely not in our constitutional republic. So we question everything. Question me. But if people are listening to the mainstream media and they are hearing this stuff, they start to believe this stuff, they have to understand that the mainstream media is wrong. Do not believe. Stop listening to MSNBC. Stop listening to CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, even Fox News. Find people like myself. Find people. There's a million commentators out there where you can get multiple points of view. Listen to all those points of view and then determine for yourself. And I will close with this. When you come across the people who say, I just don't like politics, it's too divisive. Yes, it is divisive. But there has never been a more important time in our country's history to be involved in this political process, to be part of the debate, to understand the facts, not just write somebody off because they're a Republican as being some racist or a bigot or some nut job. And I would say the same thing for Republicans, but people tend to, Republicans have to be called out as well. Big R Republicans in particular. But if you're talking about a true conservative, it's kind of hard to find policies where we are trying to remove freedoms, remove liberties. Ours are protecting rights, protecting freedoms and liberties, and protecting kids. I mean, it's not that hard. We've moved to those polar opposites politically. But let people do their own research. But tell them they have to. You have to. Before this next election, you have to do some research. You have to be involved, and you have to listen to it, no matter how painful it may be. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. We are on X, Rumble, Locals, and YouTube. We will see you all in the next video.